When I was a kid, my mum always told me I was stubborn. Apparently it's a characteristic that's followed me into adulthood. I first went to Tenerife as part of a placement for my university. I was going out there to make some films for a charity organisation. My friends had always told me about Tenerife, who had gone on holiday there, and about the volcano in the middle of the island, Mount Teide, the third highest volcano in the world, and how it had amazing, beautiful views from the top. A few weeks into the work placement, we got the opportunity to go up as part of a fundraising exercise for the charity that we were working for. Seemed like a good idea, so why not? During that first expedition, we set off during the daytime and slept halfway up the mountain, with the idea being that you grab some sleep and then carried on up towards the summit a few hours before the sunrise and did it that way. But because we stopped, it was just too cold to sleep. It was the worst night's sleep ever, really. We managed to make it all the way to the top. There was a group of 8 of us. We lost the path under a load of snow, so we just climbed up the rocks for the last bit. Managed to get to the top. I was shaking and probably nearing hypothermia or some sort of state like that, but I distinctly remember all these beautiful colours, all this beautiful sunrise happening right before us, and then I got my camera out to take a photo just as the sun came up, and the battery ran out, and I was absolutely gutted that that had happened. And all the way back down the mountain, I was just, it kind of put a downer on the whole thing, the fact that I'd been so cold, it had taken all the enjoyment out of it, and the fact that it had been so cold that my battery had died on my camera. Before the placement ended, we were given the opportunity to go up Mount Teide again. There were a group of other people that wanted to go up. It was a second opportunity for me. And I thought, you know what, this time, I'm going to get so many photographs of that sunrise. I'm going to take my DSLR camera up with my tripod, and I'm going to stop motion the whole event. I'm going to get it right from the early bits where the light's just coming through the clouds all the way up until when the sun's high in the sky. This time when we went up though, we'd be going straight up. We wouldn't be sleeping halfway up, which was a saving grace for me, because I think that's what really took the enjoyment out of it the first time. This time we would just go straight up to the top, get the stop motion, and then come back down again, and that would be it, job done. Okay, so it's about 10 o'clock now. We're about 1 hour from getting our ride that's going to take us to the foot of the mountain trail. Figured I'd show you my bag and show you a few things that I've packed up. First of all, a hat, because once that sun comes up, although we're going up at night time, when we come back down the sun will be out, the conditions will be completely different, so we're packing for really 2 different types of weather condition. Then we have breakfast here as well. This is the tripod that I'll be doing my media project with, and over here will be the camera. I also have in here a bottle of champers ready to pop out at the summit. After packing up, we all piled into the car and headed off for the mountain. It took us about 1 hour and 10 minutes to get there, I think. There was me, a girl called Laura, and 2 other guys. One guy called Ivy and one guy called Tice. There were some really cool people to go up with. Okay, so we've just arrived at the start of the mountain path here. It's now about 12 o'clock at night. We've got about 7 hours to reach the summit, because that's when sunrise will happen, and if we don't make it by then we've missed the sunrise, and that's it, game over, we lose. Path is out that way. There's stars all over the place, but generally I can't see anything right now. I have the rest of my group over here.
Hey!
Hello guys. I am, yes.
Cool, because I'm putting on my sock gloves, which is awesome. And I'm putting
improvising.
On my second hoodie as well.
How are you feeling? You nervous?
I'm excited.
I'm so excited.
You're excited too.
Oops,
sorry. Blinding light.
This mini, how do you call it? This mini Mount Everest feeling right now. And I'm also feeling like I'm giving a puppet show.
This feels ridiculous.
It's very cold. It's very cold out here right now. And this is the desert area. It will be flat terrain for the first hour or so. Then we're going to head straight up. The further down this path we go, the steeper it gets. I hope we'll make it. We should be alright for the first few hours. My first memories of the second climb were that of it being really dark, really cold, and the air being really thin. I was having difficulty breathing, which I didn't have the first time. Okay, so two things. First of all, it's very dark. Wouldn't you agree, Ivy?
Yeah, it's quite dark.
Like,
Can't really see much besides the torches.
Yeah, like it's like something out of that film, Pitch Black. You know, that we are literally see. You can see about that far. You can even see that. Yeah. There are two walkers up there. Oh, this camera's having difficulty focusing because it's just so dark. The second thing, the cold. I say that I had difficulty doing this challenge last time I came up 2 weeks ago. The only reason for that being is because it was just so damn cold. The cold seems to have hit me more or less straight away this time. Okay, so we've been going for about an hour and 20 minutes now. An hour and a half. And we've just reached the sign which signifies that the path is now going to start getting steeper. Up until this point, it's been all straight rocks like this. In quite a flat desert kind of path. Yep, Ivy said it best. Now the steep part begins. This is where the altitude starts to become a bit of a serious problem.
So where was the T-bone?
Oh, it was back there a little bit.
So, so we've just taken a stop here. So, how's everybody feeling?
Great.
Great. No worries yet?
No worries.
No concerns?
I'm feeling pretty happy. Happy.
Happy.
These cookies are great, so I'm doing good.
My fruit juice is nice.
I might just eat a whole package
can I
right
pick
here.
you up? Oh, hey. Ivy's fine. Everybody's good.
At this stage.
At this stage. Arguably, this is one of the hardest parts of the trek. This zigzaggy route over all these loose rocks. It's definitely not the desert bit. That's not the hardest bit. We all agree on that, right? Yeah. But these rocks are very light. They're almost like foam. Like literally. Ooh, you can just pick them up. They weigh nothing. Got a lot of air in them because they're volcanic rock formed from the lava, and they're also very light under your feet as well, very easy to slip on, not very stable. We were heading up the mountain so fast, we had time for just about every single distraction going. Like if someone had a pebble in the shoe, they stopped to take it out. Ty stopped to pick up rocks. He was collecting rocks on the way up the mountain. I remember there was a spider as well that we stopped to take a photograph of. There was all sorts. We kept stopping every so often, not really because we were tired, but because we'd randomly seen, you know, random things. There were flowers as well, the Teide violet, I think, we managed to find on the way up. The refuge is above us somewhere. I know that from climbing it 2 weeks ago. I recognise it. I recognise this area of the walk, but it's impossible to tell how far the refuge is up there exactly. Surrounded by all these plants. Visibility pretty much 0%.
Here you are.
Hey Tice. Tice is leading the way.
You can also do it at once, but it's just more comfy when you do it like this.
So we've made it to the refuge camp. I was getting really angry about 30 minutes ago because it just wouldn't appear. But
Every corner looked exactly the same, and I was like, "Oh, this one looks familiar. It's here." Oh no, it's not.
yeah,
I think that one looked familiar. No,
something to note about these nighttime things. they've locked the refuge up.
Please, can you take a photo?
So you'd never be able to get in the refuge if you do a nighttime walk.
My camera is in the side of my
We just
pocket.
kind of bumped in here. Sleeping bags.
Like
You just said camera.
the camera is on.
Oh, he's
Yeah,
taking a
but it
photo
kind of
of
like
us.
goes onto the is, so you go Riz. Yeah, we do.
So we're going to try and
If
get
I'm saying
us
camera,
some
I say
sleep
camera.
for an hour
If I'm saying camera.
before we make the final push to the summit. After we left the refuge, things started to get really tricky then. That was when we sort of like had freezing fog. We came out, there was like glitter particles in the air. It was a really damp atmosphere, but it was getting more and more colder the higher up we went. And the air particles were just freezing, they were saturating your clothes and then freezing. You felt like, you know, the Terminator, you know, it was all crunching up, like all on your jeans and all. Every time you moved your elbow or your knee, ice was breaking off and falling on the floor, you know. So your bag was just basically an ice cube. Okay, so there is ice on my jeans. My jeans are freezing as I'm going up the mountain.
Look at my hair. Look at my hair. Crispy.
As you can see, my flashlight is slowly but surely running out of battery. See, it is marked with a love heart. That's the sign that you're at the campsite. If ever you decide to sleep out here, which I would not recommend. You can see there's snow nearby, taking the form of stalactites. The wind causes the snow to spike up. Anyway, remember sleeping here a few weeks ago?
Don't find that my eyes.
Oh,
I don't
sorry.
see anything. Thanks.
The cold, the wind and the sleep deprivation kind of made the second half of the journey, if you want to call it that, a little bit more edgy in terms of personalities. I remember Tice was still full of energy and really optimistic. He was rocketing ahead, whereas some of us were not doing so well. I had to stop to keep taking the videos because I was documenting the event, and I do remember that tempers started to get slightly more edgy as we neared the summit.
This is the right way.
You think this isn't the right way?
Oh, it's just rocks. Pretty much.
Then we'll have to climb over them. During our first descent, we were told to stick to the left path, but we lost all the paths under a blanket of snow. It was no different the second time we went up, but the second time we went up, we knew that the path was somewhere to our left, so we went left in a random direction. We saw these footprints and decided to follow them because we assumed that that was the, you know, improvised path that people were using. So, I bring bad news. We've lost the path again. We've found some other people in exactly the same boat as us. I think we're just going for it. We have about 1 hour before that sun comes up. And if we don't make it, and to some degree it's all for nothing. The ground's getting really awkward to walk on now. It's full of this soft, sandy, volcanic ash kind of substance. Your feet sink into it. Every step you take, all the rocks are loose. You're spiralling out of control all the way down the mountain. So whoever is unlucky enough to be under you. But on the plus side, I don't think any of us are suffering too badly from the altitude. So we just hope for the best now and press on. Found it. This is it, look. The path. I think the cable car's behind us somewhere. Laura just said that she remembers this path from when she went to the summit. It's not the way I remember it. Reaching the path was kind of a good moment, but I kind of knew that it was over before we'd even made it there. The sun was coming up, you could sort of tell. and there was this fog all over the place. I'd seen something like it before when I climbed Snowdon a few years back. Basically, the top of Teide was in a cloud. Well, we've made it to the top of Teide. As you can see, it's a lot brighter now. I may be able to see the full extent of just how cold it is. The whole place is frozen. My sleeping bag is frozen. The rocks, my gloves, my jeans, the lens on the camera. I'm gonna go see how the other guys are doing. I've carried a tripod and a DSLR up with me. Now set up. Oh, one thing that you may have noticed also, it's a complete and utter whiteout. Maybe that means the joke's on me. Maybe that means the joke's on Teide. I'm not really sure, but here we are. I think I might have to open the champagne on the way down or something, because the fingers are a bit inoperable at the moment. I have no idea what I was doing on the top of that summit. Ironically, I remember that it was not as cold as the first time I went up, because I had wrapped up warmly this time, but given that everything had frozen, I suppose it was just, I'd made it to the top of the mountain and I wanted to at least attempt to take a stop motion of something. I was kind of hoping that maybe the fog would clear and, you know, you'd have the sun shining through the fog, but that really wasn't going to happen. And I look back at the footage now and I just think, what were you doing? You know, what was that all about? You know? But in that situation, what do you do? You know? I was just utterly wiped and defeated. I remember that the champagne had pretty much frozen and the water that I'd taken up had frozen solid, like completely. We were going to get the cable cars down, but the cable car station had closed, so we had to walk down through the ice and the snow. It gradually got warmer the further down we went, until eventually we were back in the desert area again. And we looked behind us and it had all cleared up by midday. You know, and the peak was there, clear as day. No obstructions, no fog, just you know, specks of white, a bit of frost here and there. It was nah. Damn it, you know. I figured that was the end of it, and that was just a life lesson. Put it down to experience. I did vow to return to Mount Teide to finish the job, but that opportunity presented itself sooner rather than later. It turns out that after that work placement, we were called back to Tenerife over the summer of 2011 to do a youth exchange with the same charity organisation who did the same opportunity to go up the mountain again. I went up this time with two guys called Casper and Davey and a girl called Kasia. We made it to the refuge in about 3 hours or 3.5 hours. It was some really ridiculously fast time. And then we went to sleep. And then we overslept, and but I couldn't believe it. Like, we woke up, and I was like, guys, it's 6 a.m. You know, that sun's coming up in like an hour or so, and we're still at the refuge. We've got like an hour or 2 hours left of climbing to do. I thought, no, you know, we've made it up this far. We've made it up in record time. We can make the summit for sunrise. But then 30 minutes later, and the stars start to disappear from the sky, and you start to see the blues, you know, changing colour, and you just realise no. And I had to stop and just make a decision, and I just thought, no, you know, I'm not going to make it to the summit. I mean, the summit was in view, and I was about 200, 300 metres below it, and I thought, you know what, that's close enough. This will do just fine. I am at peace. Even though I am not at the summit, I could not have hoped for a better view. camera straight into the sun, and it'll be coming up over there very shortly. I think I was taking a video with the tripod or something, and then all of a sudden I saw it. As you can see, these aren't the best foundations to set a tripod on. If that thing moves even slightly, you'll be able to see it in the stop motion. There it is. I imagine that those all three expeditions up Teide will probably stay with me for quite a long time to come. You learn a lot about yourself climbing this mountain because it's just so difficult, especially if you climb through it in a blizzard. But I think the important thing is that I saw it through to the end. As it turns out, I have my thumb here a scar that happened during the third ascent. I reckon Teide took its pound of flesh for the stop motion video.